And she called my daughter and told her. I will never forget the look on her face. You did what? Again? I've destroyed so many people's faith, and I've betrayed so many people, and I've lied to so many people, and it's a horrible addiction. It's horrible. It's insidious. I don't think there's been a word developed yet to describe the pain, the damage, the betrayal, the guilt, the shame that goes with it. You know, you hide something for so long. I just went up there and did what I did. Nobody knew where I was or what I was doing, and if they asked, I lied.
My understanding is that your lawyer wanted me to meet with you to do an evaluation for the court?
Yes.
Okay, great. Why don't you just kind of start with where that started?
I worked for a company for a little over 5 years. I was stealing money. I was embezzling funds from them all those years, and I got caught. I'm facing very serious charges, jail time, but it's all due to this gambling addiction. I just kept doing it and doing it and doing it. I couldn't stop. I knew it was wrong. But
What are the rough amounts we're talking about?
it is an astronomical number that I personally don't believe is correct, but they're saying $700,000.
So what kind of gambling were you doing?
Slot machines.
Okay, pretty much exclusively?
That's it.
Okay.
We know that in the brain of folks who compulsively gamble, that part of the natural reward center of our brain is sort of hijacked by the behavior. The brain is craving this rush, which it can't produce on its own after a certain point, and it needs the person to get it externally from the gambling behavior.
So in that sense, it's like being a drug addict. It's like sitting at the slot machine and being hooked up to an IV morphine drip.
They can just kind of block out everything. It almost becomes trance-like.
It's the only time I was comfortable. There's like a bubble around me that protected me from everything outside of there. I didn't care how I got the money. I just wanted to be there. I mean, where else can you go and be in your own world and sit down at a machine and just take a deep breath, and I just relaxed. I was home. I was away from reality. And a glass of water. Okay, I'll go get that. Hey guys, I got an order. That's a job. Order up. I've always done this on the side to supplement my income. There you go, dear. But now it's my only income. You need anything else?
Thank you.
You're welcome. You don't think you have a problem. You don't want to believe you have a problem. I got to give this up. Even though everything you're doing is crazy. Another addiction. Staying out for 2 and 3 days to gamble, driving up and down the road to get money to gamble. I mean, these are pretty obvious signs that you have a problem.
It's really a preoccupation with it. So people, even when they're not gambling, are strategizing. They're thinking about how wonderful it'll be to get there. It's just constant obsessions with the behavior.
I would take my paycheck that I earned and go up there and lose every penny of it in an hour. And I would drive all the way back, go get another check, go to a liquor store and cash it, and go back up there. That's sick. You know, it's really sick. The things that you'll do, the steps that you would take to fill that need, to get your high. That was my high.
The behavior has to be ratcheted up a notch. You have to gamble with more money. You have to take riskier gambles in order to produce the same chemical rush that you had when you started doing the behavior. And this leads to sort of a vicious cycle where the person really is sort of bound by their brain and they feel almost robotic.
I've lost everything. I'm nothing. Some pots and pans I have left. Don't look at that, that's just a mess. And my bed and the TV. That's it. That's what my life is now. Since I lost everything. I have a bed, a TV, and a few boxes in my clothes. Kind of watched General Hospital. I had 2-bedroom apartment. Come on, buddy. Just about every Sunday, my whole family was there. That's why I had that little bench there, and we would laugh and cook out and eat. That's gone. There aren't any more good get-togethers. We don't get together anymore like that. They feel betrayed. They feel, you know, I've lied to them for so long. And yeah, they're mad as hell.
What's been going on?
There's a lot of shame. I'm embarrassed. I feel horrible for what my kids are going through and yet what's still to come because I haven't been sentenced yet. And it's just, I just can't get over the fact that I did this and that I stole money and that it went against everything I taught my kids when they were growing up, you know. You don't steal, you don't lie, you don't cheat.
So really, how did today go?
They just can't believe it. It's shock. My son, my oldest, he was really mad at me. Shock. Disappointment. I have screwed up their lives. Big time. And it just snowballed. And it got to the point where I was spending my rent money, all my bills. I didn't care. And I was chasing it, you know. I thought, I'm gonna hit it, I'm gonna win, and I can pay all my bills. And so I started taking money from the company I worked for. And with every intention of, well, I'm just gonna take this $200 and I'm gonna put it right back, they'll never know.
People in that situation often tell themselves, well, you know what, I'll take money, but then I'll win. I'll pay back the money before anybody notices, and then everything will be fine. And people fool themselves into believing that because, in part, they want to gamble so desperately. And they want it to be sort of consistent with who they are. A good person doesn't steal, but they might borrow.
Well, then what happens is you lose and you can't put it back. So now you gotta steal more money in order to try and win it back, steal more money. And so that spiral simply continues down the drain.
Is this the first time you had an issue with gambling?
No.
No, okay. So maybe go back. When was the first time?
About 12 years ago. I did the same thing. I worked for a company, started gambling. When I stole money from that company, it was over a period of, I think, 1.5 years. And when I got caught the first time, you know, I went to court and I was given probation and I had restitution. And that was about it.
If somebody wants to abstain and then be in recovery, you damn sure better figure out why it is that you're doing what you're doing, or you guarantee that you're going to relapse or you're going to take on another addiction, because all those forces at work that gave birth to the addiction in the first place are still there.
You know, I knew what I was doing was wrong. But somehow in our twisted thinking, in our screwed up mind, we don't know it's a problem. I'll probably never understand why. You know, she pressed charges. You know, I went to a lawyer and I got 90 days of house arrest, which I think I did about maybe 60 or 40, something like that. And it wasn't that bad.
In this particular case, that initial involvement of the courts in her first experience with gambling, where I believe there was 90-day home confinement and a certain degree of restitution. Well, that was handling it in a traditional way, but nobody recognized the addiction. Nobody recognized the problem. Nobody fostered a treatment plan, a recovery dedication for her as an individual to make sure that it didn't happen again.
He is my best friend. I tell him everything, and you know what? He's never told one of my secrets. Not once. In, almost 7 years. That's a good boy. Come on, let's go. I started going again, and I started losing my whole paycheck. And I couldn't pay my rent, and I couldn't pay my bills. And I lied to my boss. And I remember the first time I did it, and I felt really bad, and I thought, why am I doing this to this person who gave me a shot?
Certainly, you cannot diminish the victim's anger. And I think there is a corresponding responsibility to the greatest extent possible of holding the defendant responsible financially and trying to at least make amends in terms of what the victim has suffered. But there's a limit, because as you might well imagine in looking at the material in Joy's case, there's no way on God's earth she's ever going to be able to pay off $500,000 or better. And we have to steel ourselves to understand that this is a perfect example of why prevention and treatment should be undertaken.
I knew one day I was going to get caught. Like I said, I had a little suicide bag I carried around with me. It was almost, please catch me. My boss said, I don't understand why we're not making any money. Joy, let's look online at the bank statement and see where we're spending money. And that was it. I knew I was dead in the water at that point. He's never looked at bank statement in 5 years. And so I went back to my office, grabbed whatever I could quickly, and just ran out the door. I knew I was in deep, deep trouble, and I was going to pay a huge price. And I knew there was a good chance that my kids would never talk to me again, my family, my friends. I knew it. I knew everything was just going down the drain at that minute, and it was my fault. I ran up the street. I actually tripped and fell, and I was shaking, and I was crying. My heart was beating so fast, I thought I was going to have a heart attack. And my plan was go in this motel, take all these pills that I had been saving up for months and months, and die. That's all I wanted to do. I just wanted to die.
Well, most of the data shows that approximately 1 out of 4 or 1 out of 5 people with a gambling addiction has attempted suicide. And that's largely in response to their gambling problems. And I think it's not completely surprising when one sort of considers how utterly devastating gambling addiction can be to the person, but everyone around them. You know, there's some evidence to suggest that a person with a gambling problem negatively impacts about 8 to 9 other people.
Today is called a pre-trial hearing. Again, I have to face my ex-employer and all his employees and his girlfriend and his accountant, and that's the hardest part. My stomach's in knots. I feel like I'm gonna throw up. It took them about 8 months, maybe 9 months, to get a number, to go through all the checks and everything. They're saying $780,000. I know that that's not accurate, and it's probably, I'm thinking half that, but that's still phenomenal. You know, it might as well be 10 million. You know, it's just, it's not attainable. I'm never gonna be able to pay that back. The stares I get and the looks I get and it's not fun. There's the courthouse. Beautiful Frederick County Courthouse. The prosecutor made an offer of doing 25 years, all but 10 suspended. And I think that's the max. And because it's a second offense, thinking I'm scared. not looking forward to this and the many other court dates I'll probably have. My lawyer just texted me and said she's talking to the prosecutor. I don't know what that means. Maybe they're trying to come up with a deal. Send me away for 5 years instead of 10.
It's an addiction, but it's difficult for people to understand that because they look at the nature of the activity that Joy involved herself in. They look at the fact that it was a second offense in a period of years, and they begin to forget the fact that this is a disease. Instead, they look at it as a volitional, intentional act to benefit herself, to harm others financially.
I'm trying to believe it's an addiction and I couldn't help myself, but the shame and the guilt is so overwhelming. To have to look at your family and say, I have an addiction, that's why I did this. That's why you hurt us, that's why you destroyed our family, that's why you destroyed your own life, because you have an addiction? Yeah, that's why. That's not a good enough answer for people.
Your traditional judge will look at it as a repetitive criminal, will look at it as somebody who chose to take some steps to violate the law, not only harmed themselves, but harmed other people and businesses and otherwise who didn't deserve to be harmed, and therefore we will punish, we will deter. So what I look at in terms of Joy's situation, it is the perfect example of what the worst case scenario can be with compulsive gambling. If you don't have prevention, if you don't have treatment, if you don't have recognition within the criminal justice system, you have society no better off than it was before, because there's no guarantee there won't be a recidivistic activity. And what did that accomplish?
But I just wanted so badly to know why, But, at the end of the day, I have to look in the mirror, and it was me. It doesn't matter why, I think. It was me. They're decisions I made. And for whatever reasons they are, I did it. I'm here. This is as low as it gets, unless you're dead. When he said 15 years, all suspended but 8, I know my face must have been utter, pure shock. That night when I was sitting in a holding cell in the county jail and I lost it. And that door just shut. Worst feeling I have ever had. I've been here almost 5 months now. It's sad. It's very, very sad. And what I've done and the things that I've taken from people and myself, I just at times don't even feel worthy of being here. I feel like I would rather be dead than live in a prison. I wanted to be gone. I did not want to be here. And it was so bad. It's just, I can't even explain it. Coming here is because of an addiction, and not because I stole money, not because of what I did to anybody, but the bottom line is because of gambling. And it was really, really hard coming here. No, the world doesn't understand. No.